run for the presidency. So just to give you a brief of what has happened today, Karanja Kibichu, the PS for Interior, was leading the government delegation here. Earlier we were seeing senior officials from the Kenya military who will be part and parcel of guarding the body of the former commander-in-chief of the Kenya Armed Forces. He was their commander-in-chief since 1978 to 2002. So we will be seeing a much more clear and more detailed ceremony like that one that we experienced in 1978. This only being accorded to commanders-in-chief, and there will be military music on that day on Tuesday, as well as a 19-gun salute just to honor one man who was in charge of the military for so many years. Olive, remember also this particular building was home for Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi, who was the member of parliament for Baringo Central for all those years. Remember, he came into parliament in the 1960s, being a member for the Rift Valley, Southern Rift Valley, particularly for the Legislative Council. Then him joining politics just as a teacher from the Tambach Teachers Training College. This is a man who had no particular training for the political world, but he became an enigma and we have seen his footprint in the political class, even up to President Uhuru Kenyatta, whom he particularly chose in 2002 and said this is the man whom he feels would succeed him, even after George Saitoti was his vice president for so many years. So on Tuesday, which is a public holiday, Kenyans will be asked to come and celebrate this man who many say he was loved, revered, and hated in equal measure, because he lived a life in which he gave to the people, he took away from the people, and Kenyans will be asked to remember him in how he loved nature by asking them to plant trees and just to bring the issue of peace together. This at a particular time in the country where the two leaders from the opposition and the ruling party, Raila Odinga and President Uhuru Kenyatta, are already building bridges in terms of bringing a united Kenya with 44 communities, but under one name of Kenya. Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi was not only the president of the Republic of Kenya, he was a father, he was a husband, he was a relative and a friend, and a confidant to many who are expected to join the family on Tuesday to celebrate his life. Remember, he will be laid to rest. His body will be interred. His remains actually will be interred at his home in Kabarak on Wednesday. There will be a ceremony headed by the AIC at the Kabarak place before the family and very close friends get just a moment to say goodbye to a man whom they call father. But for many Kenyans, those who were born after 2002, they never really got to interact with this particular man. They just hear issues of the Nyayo milk, the Nyayo era, all those issues around Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi, which have been covered in various droves and been written about in so many ways. Maybe we can just take a look at what is going on at the moment. The military and the head of the library, the presidential library, Munira Mohammed, leaving this facility. I can spot Major General Fatuma Mohammed, one of the few leaders from the military who are here today, just to make sure that the ceremony that begins proper tomorrow goes on as smoothly as possible. Olive, remember, when the body leaves the Lee Funeral Home, it will be guarded and taken care until it reaches this parliament. There will be a guard of honor laid in respect of a former commander-in-chief of the former Kenya Armed Forces, but currently the Kenya Defense Forces, and thus there needed to be a heavy military presence here. We have been seen, as in our previous coverage, that the military police has really taken over bits and pieces or parcels of securing parliament buildings, which they will do for the next 3 days, beginning tomorrow, Sunday and Monday, after which the body will be taken back to Lee Funeral Home before it goes to the Nyayo National Stadium on Tuesday for that ceremony. So basically, the meeting that was taking place between the senior leadership of the National Assembly, the Senate, and the leadership of the Kenya military and the governance of the country, that thus being the presidency, are just leaving, heading to the next destination, which is the Nyayo National Stadium, where they will be able to see what the preparations there will be. Remember, Nyayo was his mantra. He followed into the footsteps of the former president, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, and thus many people have been urged to walk in the footsteps of a man whom we called Nyayo, as well as remember him, whether to just to look back at how he lived his life, look at his mistakes and his greatness, and learn from how he lived his life. So Olive, we live here at the Parliament buildings and we head to Nyayo National Stadium to see just how the preparations have been. Kenyans have really woken up this week to the death of a man, as well as other children in Kakamega County. So I take you back to studio as we go back to Kakamega and see how the people of that county are looking and remembering their children who died on Monday.
Right, as I said, we are dealing with two great losses, but just to run you through what the plan is as far as the late President Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi, his body shall lie in state in Parliament from Saturday, the 8th of February 2020 to Monday, the 10th of February 2020, when a special sitting will take place in order for the legislators to give their messages of tribute. His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta, who is the Commander-in-Chief of the Kenya Defence Forces, will on Saturday lead the nation in viewing the body of the former president, as well as paying their last respects. The public viewing at Parliament buildings will be done on Saturday, as I said, Sunday and Monday, but between the hours of 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. The cortege will leave the funeral home at 8:05 a.m. on Saturday, the 8th of February 2020, and will be conveyed to Parliament buildings with a casket being draped in the national flag and escorted by the family of the president. The solemn procession is expected to take the following route. That is Valley Road, Kenyatta Avenue through to Parliament Way. A military guard of honor will be mounted on Parliament Road for the entry procession to Parliament, and that should guide you as you prepare to move around tomorrow. And after lying in state for 3 days, that is on Tuesday, the 11th of February 2020, the Gun, Courage and State funeral procession will make its way from Parliament buildings to the Nyayo Stadium, where Leila Mohammed is headed now, which will be the venue of the National Memorial Service. And the National Memorial Service will be an interdenominational service led by the African Inland Church. Now, as far as his burial preparations are concerned, Interior CS Fred Matiang'i, the chief of the Defense Forces, that is Samson Mwadhedhe, the Inspector General of Police Hilary Mutyambai, are at the former president's Kabarak home to assess the preparations that are taking place there ahead of the former head of state's burial. That is the Interior CS Fred Matiang'i. He's there together with the head of public service Joseph Kinyua, together with the CDF General Samson Mwadhedhe, the Inspector General of Police Hilary Mutyambai, at the former president's Kabarak home to assess the preparations ahead of next week's burial of the former head of state. Okay, the second great loss we are dealing with is the death of 14 pupils who were killed in a stampede. Oko Kusa, as I said, is at the Bukungu Stadium, where a funeral service, or rather we'll hear from him shortly whether it has started, where a funeral service was scheduled to take place. Oko Kusa, what is the mood like where you are?
local leaders led by the county, the governor of county of Kakamega, that is Wycliffe Oparanya. We are also made to understand that the ANC leader Musalia Mudavadi and Ford Kenya leader Moses Wetangula and a host of local leaders are expected to attend this particular mass here at Bukuku Stadium. Remember, Wednesday, as I've mentioned, there one of the victims by the name Naila Kiverenge was buried according to Muslim tradition. So that leaves us with 14 bodies. A total of, that leaves us with 13 victims of this tragedy that happened on Monday evening. Remember, there are a total of 46 pupils who were injured during a stampede at the Kakamega Primary School, and unfortunately 14 of them perished. 2 are still in the ICU fighting for their lives, and 4 in the general wards, though we are made to understand that the ones in the general ward are in stable condition. The other day, a post-mortem was conducted, and the results are out, and it's saying that 6 of the victims who died in this tragedy died out of suffocation. That is according to the post-mortem examinations that were conducted on the bodies. And of course, we also know that investigations to ascertain exactly what caused the stampede is still underway. We are yet to be issued with the results of those investigations. It is something that everybody is waiting anxiously to know exactly what transpired, especially the parents or the relatives of the families who are bereaved have been asking and demanding answers for exactly, to be told exactly what could have caused that particular stampede. And this particular program today is happening at a time when that particular results or outcome of those investigations are yet to be released, and therefore we expect that probably during the event today a mention of the outcome of that investigation will be made here at this particular event. Of course, as you can see in the pictures, residents are still thronging Bukuku Stadium here just to witness this tragedy that has been described as one of the worst in this particular part of the country. Remember, young children of class 4 and 5 losing their lives in a way that nobody up to this particular moment is unable to explain. We are talking of 9 girls and 5 boys losing their lives in what has been described as one of the worst stampedes ever witnessed in a school. During the visit by the Deputy President here on Tuesday, they declared that the school will be closed until on Monday, just to give investigators time and also to give the grieving parents and even the children time to recover and heal from trauma that could have been caused as a result of this calamity. And as we speak now, of course, the school is closed. We are expected to open on Monday, and therefore from here again, we just to bring you up to speed, we are made to understand that after this particular mass, the parents will be allowed now to have their beloved ones, the remains of their beloved ones for burial. Again, remember that the county government and the national government had promised to take care of the costs of the burials of the victims of this tragedy, and therefore that sort of came as a relief to some of the parents, because this incident happened abruptly, and therefore did not even give them time maybe to gather sufficient resources to accord their lost ones befitting send-off. And therefore we expect also that during this particular ceremony, the leaders here maybe will address the issue of compensation, which is something that a section of parents here have been trying to advance, asking for, if there could be some sort of compensations just to help them cushion the kind of loss that they've gone through. So we will be here. We know that the event is supposed to kick off any moment from now. We are expecting the leaders to arrive. Yes, I've mentioned there, the county government of Kakamega, led by Governor Oparanya, is here in full force, and we expect also the national government to be represented here. The other time we saw the PS for Education, Magoha, visit the school. We are yet to confirm whether he'll be gracing this occasion, but we'll be keeping you posted with the events as they unfold here at Bukungu Stadium. Back to you, Oliver.
All right, pictures there brought to us by Oko Kusa of the cortege making its way to the Bukungu Stadium. The school did release the name of all 14 who perished in that stampede at the Kakamega Primary School. As Oko Kusa told us, one of the students, that is Naila, was laid to rest on Wednesday. And yes, Naila Kiverenge, who was among the 14, as I said, who perished in that stampede at the Kakamega Primary School on Monday. And the following day, we, of course, received the news that the former president, Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi, passed away. If I could just read out the names of the 14 who perished in that tragedy. It is Antoinette Iramwenya, Prudence Eliza, Catherine Alo, and Naila Kiverenge, who I mentioned, Prince Vamalin, Nicole Achola, Vanessa Adessa, Fidel Kumbetie, Simon Waweru, Samuel Simeha, Lavenda Akasa, June Nakumicha, Joseph Musami, and Batha Munyuwele. We now have pictures which bear their names in tribute.
It's so hard.
young lives. Our thoughts and our prayers go out to their families. Now, among those who've condoled with the families are Deputy President William Ruto and the Kakamega Governor, Wycliffe Oparanya, who is expected to attend the funeral service at the Bukungu Stadium. The school remains closed until Monday, and that was to allow full investigations into the tragic incident. A post-mortem, as we had been informed by Okusa and yesterday by Zakias Mwasame, showed that majority of the students died from suffocation. All right, and the Education Cabinet's Secretary George Magoha is also among those who've ordered, as far as government is concerned, the investigating team to ensure that it gets to the bottom of the stampede. There have been several theories which have been floated. But of course, the investigative authorities need time to establish the cause of the stampede. On your screen, as I said, is that cortege that is making its way to the Bukungu Stadium, where a funeral service will be held for 13 out of the 14, with one of the girls, a Muslim, having been laid to rest on Wednesday. Her name is Naila Kiverenge.
of the 13 victims of Kakamega Primary School stampede just arriving here at Bukungu Stadium. We are having a total of 13 bodies being brought here for a requiem mass, and there are bodies of Antoinette Iramwenya, a grade 5 pupil. We also have Prudence Eliza. Then there is Catherine Alou, Princess Vermaline of grade 4, Nicole Achola, they also Vanessa Adesa, Fidel Kumbetia, Simon Wawerus, Samuel Simeha, Lavenda Akasa, and June Nakumicha, a grade 4 pupil who also perished in this particular tragedy. And then there's also Joseph Musami and Batha Munyuela. Remember, one of the victims had been buried 2 days ago. That is Naila Kiverenge, and therefore we are having 13 out of 14 bodies being brought here at Kakamega Bukungu Stadium for the memorial service, which is supposed to be conducted by various it's sort of like an interdenominational service conducted by different churches. It is a full house here, grief-stricken parents, relatives, friends, and even residents of Kakamega here turning out in large numbers just to witness this solemn process that is supposed to be held here today. Of course, just to remind you, there are a total of 9 girls who lost their lives in this tragedy and 5 boys, and I've just mentioned some of their names there. We are made to understand that from here some 9 families have requested that they be given the bodies of their loved ones for burial this weekend, and yet another 3 families have requested that the bodies be taken back to the mortuary as they arrange for burial days later. And then there's one family from all the way from Molo, which has requested that the body of their loved one be given out to them for burial in Molo. So it is a somber mood here at Bukungu Stadium as expected. This tragedy, as we all remember, is one that has been described as the worst in a school actually in these parts of the country, and therefore it has caused a lot of grief to families, and as investigations are still going on to ascertain what really caused this stampede, parents are demanding answers, and they really want to know what really transpired that caused the children to lose their lives in such a deadly manner. As we also mentioned earlier on, we expect leaders, local leaders here led by the county governor of Kakamega County, that is Wycliffe Oparanya. They are yet to arrive. We were told that the moment they arrive, then this particular event will kick off. We expect the ANC leader, Musalia Mudavadi, Moses Wetangula, and of course a host of dignitaries from even the national government to attend this particular moment. On your screen is the casket carrying the remains of Joseph Musami. Joseph Musami is one of the boys who lost their lives in this tragedy. He's a class 5 pupil at Kakamega Primary School. There on the screen is a picture of a distraught parent, grief-stricken. You remember this particular tragedy happened at a time when parents really didn't expect that such a thing could happen in a school where they expected that their children are safe. As we speak now, nearly all the caskets have arrived here. We have like almost 10 or so caskets that have been brought here at Bukungu Stadium, waiting for the requiem mass to begin. Such an emotional moment for the parents here, the residents here, just seeing the caskets of these little ones being paraded here for the requiem mass. And of course, we expect that this will also, involve some sort of counseling. The government had actually promised that they'll be having counselors at the school to just help the parents who lost their loved ones to deal with the trauma that this could have caused them. And therefore, that has been going on for the past 1 week. The CS for education, that is George Magoha, was here on Tuesday together with the Deputy President William Ruto, and they announced that the government will provide support to all the families that have lost their loved ones. A similar promise was given by the county government led by the Governor Wycliffe Oparanya, who promised that they will be providing support for the funeral and the burial ceremonies and all that is required to give the little children a decent send-off. So both the national and the county government had promised to provide financial support to just ensure that the burial process goes on smoothly. Just 2 days ago, by the way, there was the results of the post-mortem that was conducted on the bodies, and it came out that 6 of the children died out of suffocation. 6 of the children are said to have died out of suffocation, and one of them is said to have fractured his arm during that particular accident that occurred on Monday evening at Kakamega Primary School. On your picture, on the screen there, some of the pictures of the fallen children. That's Bertha Munywele, who just seen there, born 2009 and died in 2020. Such young lives lost in this particular tragedy. That's Simon Waweru Kuria, born in 2010 and died 2020. That is 10 years later. Most of these children were in class 5. Only 2 were in grade 4. The children who perished in this tragedy, 12 of them were in grade 5, and only 2 were in grade 4. Remember, that particular building is said to have contained more than 1,500 children, and the children were descending down the stairs after the 5 p.m. bell rang for going home, and that is when this particular tragedy occurred. We are made to understand that each of the classes in that particular building, we are talking of 8 streams, 8 classes on one floor, and each class carrying about 65 to 70 pupils. And therefore it was a huge crowd going down the stairs when one of them is said to have stumbled, and then the rest of the team came trampling on them. Varied versions have been coming out. One that when the children came out of the classrooms, then in that particular building there are 2 exits. One stairs reserved for teachers and another one designated for the children. But when they were coming out, one of the pupils there told us that a teacher turned them away when they attempted to use the exit that is designated for the teachers, and then that caused congestion on the other side of the exit, where one of the pupils is said to have stumbled, and then the rest came falling on her, and therefore, of course, a pile of children lying on the victims that had fallen earlier on. As you can see here, prayers are on. The prayers are on here already on behalf of the bodies that have just arrived here. All of them actually have arrived here at Bukungu Stadium, and the memorial mass, is already underway, and we expect that from here there'll be more speeches and more of such content.
Ya kwamba iwe ni ibada ya kufariji, ya kupanguza machozi, ya kutia moyo. Tunapotoa heshima zetu za mwisho kwa watoto hawa, tunakumbuka shule, tunakumbuka kaunti, tunakumbuka wazazi, tunakumbuka wapendwa wote ambao wamehusika na msiba huu, tukiomba ya kwamba Roho wa ufariji akaonekane katika uwanja huu. na jina lako likapewe sifa juu ya majina yote. Asante Bwana kwa sababu ya kukubali kuwa pamoja nasi, na kila mmoja aseme amen.
Amen. Well, those are some of the prayers that are being conducted here in the honor of the fallen 13 pupils of Kakamega Primary School. This is a requiem mass that is being conducted by interdenomination. It's actually an interdenominational requiem mass involving different churches from this particular region. And of course, we are yet to see the exact program, but we expect that any moment from now they'll be having prayers and of course speeches from leaders from this particular region. Again, just to remind you is that the investigations that were being conducted by detectives who are involved in this case are yet to, the results, the outcome of those investigations are yet to be released and to be made public, and therefore we expect that maybe during this particular event we'll be able to just really know what transpired and put to rest the speculations that have been going around. Just trying to explain what has happened or what really caused the accident and the stampede. There were concerns, of course, that maybe there was a scare. Initially, when this incident happened, there was speculations that the children could have been scared by a teacher, but when the CS for Education, Magoa, came here, he ruled out foul play, just throwing, exuding confidence that the teachers at Kakamega Primary School had managed to contain the pupils despite the huge population. We are talking of 3,128 pupils in that particular school in upper classes, and again another 295 in pre-primary. That's a huge number, of course, and the CS there said that he had a lot of confidence that the teachers have managed to contain the school and the pupils despite that huge population. And of course, and therefore he said that he had confidence that the teachers were not to really blame for whatever happened. Actually, it exonerated them from blame, but at the same time added a rider that they will take stern action against whoever would be found culpable to have caused the stampede that resulted into the deaths of the 14 little children. So again, we have been made to understand that out of the 46 pupils who got injured during the accident, 2 are still in the ICU fighting for their lives, and 4 are in the general wards, but they have been, their condition has been described as stable. They're expected to be, they expect to discharge them any time from now. On the night of the accident, 37 were treated and discharged, and of course, the 2 are still in the ICU, as I've mentioned there. And most of the students who were rescued from this accident were rushed to Kakamega County Referral Hospital. Only 4 were taken to a private facility known as Naila, where 1 died. And again, another 1 was taken to Central Primary School. Central Primary School. Not Central Primary School, but Central Hospital. 1 student was rushed to Central Hospital, and that particular student, we are made to understand, was treated and discharged. So basically that is part of the background here. It's the Bukungu Stadium is teeming with the residents, relatives, and friends of the grief-stricken families and relatives of the fallen children. It's a huge crowd here, of course, a somber mood, and we expect that any moment from now the official event, the official speeches will begin here at the Buhungu Stadium, where the Requiem Mass is still underway. All the 13, as I mentioned there, all the 13 bodies have already been brought here. One, of course, was buried 2 days ago. That is 10-year-old Naila Kiverenge, who was buried according to the Muslim tradition. So that leaves us with 13 caskets here at Buhungu Stadium that are supposed to go through the Requiem Mass. Just earlier on, I spoke with the chairman of the funeral committee, that was the man behind all the arrangements here, and he mentioned to me that out of the 13 here, 9 families have already requested that they be given the bodies of their loved ones for burial this coming weekend, and another 3 have requested that the bodies be taken back to the mortuary as they make arrangements to give them a befitting send-off. Again, they also disclosed to me that one of the families have requested that the body of their loved one be ferried all the way to Molo, where they'll be buried. Again, just also to remind you is that the county government and the national government had promised to take care of the expenses surrounding all the expenses that are touching on the burial of these little ones, and therefore despite that, again, some of the parents have also expressed concern regarding compensation, but that is yet to be addressed by both the county and the national government. As you can see, all the 13 caskets paraded here at Buhungu Stadium. I will describe it as a very emotional scene here at Buhungu Stadium. Distraught parents, as you can hear from behind there.
Tunaendelea na kufuatilia mipango ya kiserikali ya kumpa baba taifa hadhi maziko ya heshima kubwa. Asante sana mwenyekiti Nat Wilson Sosion.
Well, we are just made to understand that Wilson Sosion, who is the NAT chairman, has already arrived here at the grounds, and of course more dignitaries continue to make their way here. As I mentioned earlier, we are expecting Musalia Mudavadi, Moses Wetangula, Wycliffe Oparanya, and a host of members of parliament and leaders from this particular part of the country. All are expected to come here to just pay their last respect to the little children who perished in this tragedy. As you can see again, the stadium is almost full as we speak, and more people are still streaming in. We are looking at a situation where maybe all the terraces and the ground here will be filled up by the time this event officially kicks off.
Kama nilivyokuambia, baadhi ya viongozi waliofika wamo manaibu gavana, wamo pia maseneta wetu, wamo wabunge, wamo wawakilishi wetu wa wadi na viongozi wa vitengo tofauti tofauti, ambapo nasema karibuni, asanteni kuja kuomboleza nasi siku hii ya leo, wakati gatuzi letu linalia, taifa pia likilia. Na ratiba ya leo niweze kukufahamisha tu ya kwamba itakuwa fupi sana.
Maybe just to give you a brief of the building that where this particular incident happened, is that it is a 3-story building constructed between 2 2004 and 2010, and it houses about 24 streams with an average of 65 pupils per class, and mostly it accommodates pupils of grade 1 to grade 5. Most of the pupils that are housed in that particular building are of grade 1 and to grade 5, and it has 8 streams per floor, so we are talking of about over 1,500 pupils being housed in that particular building. And as I also tried to describe a little earlier there, is that it has 2 staircases that lead or exit that building, and as I've also mentioned again, is that one of those exits, according to one of the students that we managed to interview there, is usually reserved for teachers, while the other side is for the pupils. And on this particular time when this accident happened, when the children were rushing out of class after the 5 p.m. This incident actually happened at around 4:40 p.m. So it means that 4:30, when the bell rang, then the students were rushing out of class, and that is when the mishap happened. Local leaders have been calling for thorough investigations into this incident led by the Governor Oparanya, who is reported to have said at some point that this incident cannot be treated as a normal accident, and therefore urging the relevant authorities, those are the detectives and the investigators, to conduct a thorough probe and to ascertain really what happened. The Deputy President William Ruto and Education Cabinet Secretary George Magoha, who had visited the school on Tuesday, ordered for the closure of the school for 1 week. The reason was that they wanted that period to be used by investigators and detectives to conduct a thorough probe on this particular incident. But again, they also said that they wanted to give parents and pupils time just to try and collect themselves, to come to terms with this strategy, and to shake off trauma that could have resulted out of the accident and the loss of lives that happened in that particular school. So that has been, that is currently happening. The school is closed, and of course the government had promised to have some counselors there just to assist the grief, the bereaved families with the recovery that was occasioned by the death of the little ones.
Ambayo nimemwona baba mtoto amekwisha wasili. Pole ndugu, na asante kujikaza. Karibu tuomboleze tena pamoja watoto waliosalia. Nimekuambia ukiwa ni mgeni gatuzi la Kakamega, tafadhali jisikie nyumbani. Mbele kabisa, mkono wa kulia wa jukwaa, kuna kijumba kidogo kimeezekwa mabati ya kijani kibichi. Chumba hicho kiko wazi kwa yeyote ambaye angependa kukitembelea kwa haja ya kimwili. Usije ukajikosesha heshima. Nafasi hiyo iko tayari kwa shughuli hiyo. Tutumie nafasi vizuri wanaoketi. Uwanja huu uko wazi. Wakati huu ninapokutangazia, waruhusu wananchi waweze kuketi kabla ya viongozi kuwasili. Viongozi wetu watakapofika, haitaruhusiwa kupita wala kutembea ama kuzungumza kwa sauti kuu. Tutahitaji sasa kuwasikia
Well, as you can see on your screen, those are the caskets carrying the remains of the 13 children who perished in the Kakamega Primary School stampede. All have been brought here at the Bukungu Stadium for the Requiem Mass. Again, just to remind you, our viewers, is that 6 of the 14 who perished in this tragedy, according to post-mortem results that were conducted on the bodies, is that they died out of suffocation. Those results, post-mortem was conducted by the Western Regional Government pathologist, that is Dixon Mchana, who said that one of the pupils, Simeon Waweru, actually sustained a fracture on the left shoulder. Dr. Mchana, who conducted this mortem, speaking yesterday, said that they conducted actually limited post-mortem tests on the body, since the deaths were not contestable, and that the exercise, that although the exercise was still going on, it was not really possible to ascertain where, not really ascertain, but he said that it was possible that the learners could have died of something he called as asphyxiation.
Wamevalia sare zao. Asanteni sana kuja kuwapa mkono wa buriani ndugu na dada zenu ambao walituacha. Hiyo ni njia moja ya kukubali, na hapo tutaweza kupona kiroho.
Again, maybe just to inform our viewers, is that on Wednesday, a section of the parents had demanded that they be represented by a lawyer during the post-mortem examinations, and they had complained that preparations for that exercise had been rushed. They thought that they were not well consulted before the exercise was conducted, and actually they later had a meeting with the county commissioner of Kakamega, that is Pauline Dollar, who requested that they allow the exercise to proceed, who actually prevailed upon them to allow the exercise to proceed as planned, and of course, they later on agreed, and the exercise was conducted by Dr. Mchana, as I've mentioned there, giving out the results that 6 out of the 13 had died of suffocation. I mean, that also now gives credence to earlier theories that that what could have caused the death of most of these children is because they had fallen on each other, and therefore causing that suffocation, especially on the victims who were lying down, who had fallen down, and then the rest of the children came tumbling and just falling on them, causing them to suffocate. We remember that 4 died on the spot. 4 bodies were picked from Kakamega Primary School, while the rest perished as they were. The rest died as they were on their way to the health facilities, and some died while receiving treatment.
Shughuli zenu za siku kuja kuomboleza na Kakamega, kusema pole kwa familia, pole kwa shule, pole kwa wazazi, pole kwa wanafunzi kupoteza watoto wetu katika hali ya mkasa ambao hata kidogo hapana aliyetarajia. Wanahudumu wa Msalaba Mwekundu, wale walio na taaluma hiyo kutoka Chuo Kikuu cha Sayansi na Teknolojia cha Masinde Muliro, na vijana wetu wahudumu katika hospitali kuu ya Kakamega, wanapeana huduma za kwanza nyuma ya mahema. Kwa vyovyote vile unapohitaji huduma hiyo, tafadhali weza kupishwa pale nyuma ya mahema, utahudumiwa.
Well, in case you're joining us now, we are here at Bukungu Stadium where a requiem mass for the 13 victims of the Kakamega Primary School stampede is underway. Memorial service for the 13 victims of the Kakamega Primary School tragedy is underway, and as you can see from some of the pictures there, it is already teaming up with relatives, families, and friends of those who lost their lives in this tragedy that has shocked the nation, the entire nation actually, coming at a time when parents had faith that their children were safe in school, and only to get that dreaded phone call that something awful had happened in school, only to turn out that they had lost their children. Earlier on, the procession that had a number of hearses carrying the remains of the victims left Kakamega County Referral Hospital mortuary, snaking its way through the streets of Kakamega all the way to Bukungu Stadium, where we are now for the Requiem Mass. And as we speak now, we are still waiting for the leaders to make their ways here so that this event can officially kick off. But of course, when the bodies arrived here, we saw some of the clergy, some of the church leaders here conducting brief prayers in honor of the fallen victims of the Kakamega Primary School tragedy.
Vyombo vya habari, asanteni sana kwa kujitokeza kuchukua habari hizi zifikie umma ndani na nje ya nchi tunapoomboleza.
Well, from a distance we can hear some siren, perhaps an indication that some of the leaders that we are expecting to grace this event are making their way here. We can actually hear some sirens just to probably indicating that some of the dignitaries that we were waiting for so that this event can officially kick off are making their way here. Probably that could be the governor of the county of Kakamega, Wycliffe Oparanya, is motorcade making his way here at the Bukungu Stadium, where a memorial service for the fallen Kakamega Primary School children is supposed to be conducted. Any moment from now, we expect to see that motorcade arriving here at Bukungu Stadium, and of course we'll be giving you those pictures when that happens.
Na nimekuambia kwamba viongozi wa haiba za juu wamekwisha wasili, ikiwemo Wizara ya Elimu Kitaifa, na kwa nafasi yake tutaweza kuwatambua na hata kuwapa nafasi ya kuomboleza na kutoa pole kiwizara. Usione hofu, mbona hujatajwa jina. Wewe ni kiongozi popote ulipo, jisikie nyumbani kwa nafasi yako, na asante sana kuja kuomboleza nasi. DJ, inaomba unipe sauti hiyo kwa juu kiasi. Na nirudie tena kutangaza.
Well, I can see their Governor Wycliffe Oparanya just making his entry into the main dais there, greeting the ANC leader, that is Wycliffe Oparanya. Of course, we've also seen Wetangula there, Ford Kenya. A host of governors already here, local leaders have arrived. We've seen also the PS for education, that is Belio Kipsang, also is in attendance.
Karibu sana mheshimiwa. Karibu sana. Thank you for coming, Your Excellency. Basi kwa heshima kubwa naomba tuanze rasmi, na tutaanza kwa wimbo wa taifa na wimbo wa county. Ilivyo desturi, wakati nyimbo hizi zinaimbwa, tunaomba kuwa wima. Kwa hivyo sote tusimame kwa wimbo wa taifa na wimbo wa county. Band. Naomba tusalie wima hivyo tukiwa tumesimama kwa maombi. Bishop Nicholas Olumasai, njoo utuombe. Na ataweza kufuatiwa pia na kiongozi wa dini ya Kihindi ambaye tumempata akifika sasa hivi.
Tutaamini katika jina la Yesu Kristo, tunyamaze pahali tuko tukaweze kuomba. Baba, katika jina la Yesu Kristo, tunakushukuru kwa siku ya leo. Siku ambayo Baba umetupatia ya kwamba tukaweze kusanyika hapa katika Buhungu Stadium. Kwa jina la Yesu Kristo, Baba, wazazi wako hapa, mimi ziko hapa na sisi wengine tuko hapa. Tunaomba Mungu wa ajabu, uwepo wako ukaweze kuwa pamoja nasi. Tunapofungua mkutano huu, Mungu ukaweze kuleta uwepo wako, tukaweze kunena na tukaweze kuhubiri ili waliofiwa wafarijiwe. Mungu wangu wa ajabu, katika jina la Yesu Kristo, mkutano huu umefunguliwa kwa jina la Baba na la Mwana na Roho Mtakatifu, tunaamini na kuomba. Amen.
Tusalia wema, maombi yanaendelea. Priest Arvind Khetia.
गजानन भूतगणाधीश सहित कपितजम उमासुत शोक विनाशकरम नमामि विघ्नेश्वर पाद पंकजम। ओम सहनावतु सहनभूतम सह कवि किराते तेसवादा विद्रिमा विद्रसावे। हरि ओम द्र शांति अंतरिक्षु शांति पृथ्वी शांति रापम शांति रोग्धय शांति वनस्पति शांति विश्वदेव शांति ब्रह्म शांति सर्गु शांति सामा शांति रेधि द्वितीयतं तद्दनम् अभ्यन्तरुषणं सविता दुर्तानि परासु जगो भद्रोतनो आसं हरि ओम शांति 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 सुशांति भवन्तु.
Amen. Asante sana kwa maombi hayo, na niombe wananchi tuweze kuketi, waheshimiwa wetu tuketi sote. Asante sana waombolezaji wote mliowasili Buhungu Stadium. Mheshimiwa gavana wetu mpendwa, mwenyekiti wa baraza la magavana nchini, na pia mwenyekiti wa jopo la masuala ya kilimo cha miwa nchini Kenya, mwenyekiti wa Lake Region Economic Bloc, Mheshimiwa FCPA Wycliffe Ambetsa Oparanya, waheshimiwa magavana wote na manaibu gavana wote, Mheshimiwa kiongozi wa kisiasa chama cha ANC Wycliffe Mudavadi, Mheshimiwa kiongozi wa chama cha kisiasa cha Ford Kenya Moses Wetangula, viongozi wote waliowasili akiwemo Regional Commissioner Madam Ann Ngetich, waombolezaji wote. Naomba Mheshimiwa Gavana kwa sasa tuweze kupata mahubiri kwa muda mchache kabla ya kupata hotuba kwa siku ya leo, na hivi nitamwalika Reverend James Mwaura, Provost ACK Cathedral, aje aongoze kipindi hicho. Karibu sana Askofu.
Asante, tunaanza kirasmi ibada yetu. Friends, we've come together to pray for the family of the deceased of Kakamega Primary, to pray for the county government of Kakamega and the Republic of Kenya. Yet we believe that since Jesus died and rose again, so it will be for those who die in Christ, God will bring them to life with Jesus Christ. For everything there is a season and a time for every matter under the heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to pluck. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to cast away stones and a time to gather them together. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to seek and a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to cast away. A time to rend and a time to sue. A time to keep silent and a time to speak.
Tusoma Zaburi 23, Psalm 23. Bwana ndiye mchungaji wangu, sitapungukiwa na kitu. Katika malisho ya majani mabichi hunilaza, kando ya maji ya utulivu huniongoza. Huisha nafsi yangu, huniongoza katika njia za haki kwa ajili ya jina lake. Naam, nijapopita katikati ya bonde la uvuli wa mauti, sitaogopa mabaya, kwa maana wewe upo pamoja nami. Rungu yako na fimbo yako vyanifariji. Waandaa meza mbele yangu machoni pa watesi wangu. Umenipaka mafuta kichwani pangu, kikombe changu kinafurika. Hakika wema na fadhili zitanifuata siku zote za maisha yangu, nami nitakaa nyumbani mwa Bwana milele.
Nitamkaribisha mtumishi wa Mungu Reverend Benson Shisia kutoka kanisa la Church of God akaweze kutuhudumia kwa neno lake Mwenyezi Mungu. Karibu sana mtumishi wa Mungu Reverend Shisia from the Church of God in Kenya. Karibu sana.
Mheshimiwa Governor wa gatuzi la Kakamega na waheshimiwa wengine ambao wametoka katika sehemu mbalimbali na watu wote ambao tumekusanyika hapa, Bwana asifiwe. Bwana asifiwe tena. Leo hii ni siku maalum ambayo tu pamoja kama taifa kwa sababu ya wimbi la simanzi ambalo limekumba sehemu hii yetu ya ugatuzi. Muda huu ninao mfupi na kuweza kutazama neno la Mungu, kuona kwamba tufarijike pamoja. Katika neno litakalo lihubiri lina kichwa ambacho kinasema the Lord knows. Kitabu cha 2 Timothy chapter 2 verse 2 and verse 19. 2 Timothy 2:19. Inasema hivi: Nevertheless, God's solid foundation stands firm, sealed with this inscription, that the Lord knows those who are his, and everyone who confesses the name of the Lord must turn away from wickedness. Sema kweli, neno hili linatukumbusha mambo mengi sana ambayo yanatendeka katika dunia. Na katika dunia hii kuna watu ambao wameweka misingi katika matendo yao ambao wamekuwa kitenda. Leo hii tumesimama hapa ama tumekusanyika mahali hapa kwa sababu ya hao wachanga ambao katikati yao kuna watu mashuhuri kabisa ambao wangekuwa wa taifa hili. Maana nakumbuka katika dunia hii yote kuna watu mashuhuri ambao wamelala na makaburi yao hata ameweka maandishi ambayo yana maana yake. Kwa mfano, nenda kwa kaburi la Adolf Hitler, utapata kaburi limeandikwa here lies a great man who conquered the world. Adolf Hitler. Yes, he did that. But sisi ambao tungali wazima tunao nafasi ya kuweza kujua ya kwamba tutakapolala ni yapi yatakayoongelewa juu yetu. Tutakapolala ni yapi ambayo yatasemekana kwamba tumeyatenda katika dunia hii. Kwa hivyo neno linatuambia kwamba Mungu anawajua walio wake. The foundation that a parent can give to his children is education. And you can see that these families were in the process of giving a good foundation, laying a foundation for their young ones, so that in the future there will be somebody in this country. But that foundation has been distorted. That foundation has been broken down. I'm telling you that God knows who you are. As a family, kama wewe ni jamii husika, nataka nikuambie kwamba kumbuka kwamba matumaini yetu yawe kwake Mwenyezi Mungu. Maana ni yeye pekee anayejua walio wake. Inafanya wale ambao hawamjui Mungu wanafanya kazi bure, wanatetateta bure, wanatembea bure, wakitapatapa huku wasijue kwamba wanaenda wapi. Lakini msingi kamili upo kwake Mwenyezi Mungu. Haleluya. Kwa sababu katika msingi ule neno limetuambia kwamba the foundation has a seal. Ina muhuri ambao umewekwa. Na muhuri ule umeandikwa kwamba God knows those who are his. Je, wewe Mungu anakujua? Wewe Mungu anakujua? Wakati mmoja hata shetani atatokea na aseme kwamba anakuelewa sana. Kuna maneno mengi ambayo unayafanya ukisingizia hata shetani. Umeua watu hata ukisingizia shetani. Kumbuka siku moja shetani atasimama na atasema kwamba Bwana wewe, mimi sikujui. Mimi sikujui kabisa. Lakini kwa wale ambao Mungu anawajua, wanabaki kuwa watu wake Mungu. Katika 2 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 16, Mungu anasema kwamba I live with them and walk among them, and I'll be their God and they'll be my people. He has promised that he will be our God and we shall be his people and he will live among us. Kwa hivyo inatufanya tuweze kufikiria maishani sisi ambao tungali hai tukiwa tunaishi, tunayo fursa ya kuona wenzetu wakifa, tunayo fursa ya kutenda mambo hapa na pale, ni juu yetu. We need to confess our sins. Tunahitaji kukiri dhambi zetu. Kuna dhambi ambazo tunazitenda mahala pa hadhara, kuna dhambi ambazo tunazitenda mtu kwa mtu, na dhambi ambazo tunazitenda hata kwa Mungu. The Bible says, those who confess the name of the Lord must turn away from wickedness. It is time to confess. As long as you are still on this earth and you are breathing, this is the time that God has given you so that you'll be able to confess. Confess your sins. Forget about what people are saying about you. Forget about what you're going through. But you can still confess your sins and live a holy life. And when you live a holy life, that's the moment that Christ Jesus will come into your life and you'll be a very different person. Kwa hivyo, nasimama kusema kwamba we still have time to turn away from our sins. And that time is now. We need to turn away from our sins and confess, and we'll be able to be received by our God. He has promised that He's going to live with us. He has promised that He's going to be our God, and we will be His people. May God bless us all as a nation. May God bless the affected families. May God bless this county, and may God bless everybody seated here today. God bless you all.
Asante sana Reverend Chisio. Ni wakati wa kuombea familia hizo ambazo zimeathiriwa. Nataka nikaribishe Father Kizito from the Roman Catholic Church akaweze kuombea familia hizo. Kumbuke kaunti yetu ya Kakamega, kumbuke taifa letu tunapoomboleza pia kuondokea kwa rais wetu mstaafu. Karibu.
Basi ningeomba kwa muda mfupi wale ambao wanaweza kusimama, tusimame wote tuombe. Kwa jina la Baba na la Mwana na la Roho Mtakatifu. Amen. Baba aishie milele, tumekusanyika hapa siku ya leo katika stadia hii kuomboleza vijana wetu, watoto wetu ambao wamekufa katika janga hili. Baba mwema, wewe unaishi milele, Alfa na Omega. Tunakushukuru kwa yote, kwa sababu tukiwa hai, tukifa, wewe, sisi wote tuko watoto wako. Tunakushukuru kwa sababu wewe ulipanga mianzo ya dunia yote na ukatuumba sisi wote pamoja na vijana wetu ambao tunasindikisha siku ya leo. Baba mwema, tunakushukuru kwa yote. Tunapoomboleza, tunaomboleza kwa jina lako, kwa sababu wewe unaishi milele, na kwa mabaya na mazuri wewe bado unaitwa Mungu, Mungu mkuu, Mungu wa majeshi. Baba mwema, tunapokusanyika hapa kuna huzuni nyingi kwa sababu ya vijana hawa, watoto wadogo, watoto wachanga ambao walikuwa wanaendeleza masomo yao. Shetani ametokea pande ambayo sisi hatuelewi, kuchukua vijana hawa wakafa kwa ile njia ambayo haipendezi. Tunaomba Mungu Mwenyezi ushuke kati yetu, utufunge mkamba. Tunaomba Mungu Mwenyezi watoto hawa wawe malaika mbele zako. Tunaomba Mwenyezi Mungu utembelee shule hiyo, uilinde na uichenge upya shule hiyo, ulinde watoto ambao wamebaki ili waendelee na masomo yao. Tunapoomboleza nakumbuka wazazi. Watoto hao wamewacha pengo kubwa katika familia, katika jamii, katika kaunti yetu Kenya mzima. Wewe unaishi milele, tunaomba katika njia yako mwafaka, njia yako ya uweza, ili watoto mwenyewe urudishe kwa njia ambayo sisi hatuwezi elewa. Baba mwema, kama ni matendo ya shetani, kama ni mtu aliyofanya haya, ni kama ni accident, ni kama ni maana, tunaikemea katika jina la Yesu. Tunaomba kama ni roho
za ushetani ambazo zinasunguka ulimwenguni kutafuta damu ya watoto katika mashule, tunaikemea katika jina la Yesu Kristo. Tuomba damu ya mwana kondoo, damu ya thamani, damu isingire watoto wetu wanapokwenda shuleni, ilinde na walimu, ilinde na wazazi, ilinde nchi yetu yote, matendo ya shetani yashindwe. Tunajua kwamba binadamu na fikra zao, kuna wale ambao wanapanga mambo haya. Tunajua kwamba shetani anaishi na anatenda mambo kwa barabara, kwa mashule na mahali pote. Shetani na kukumbusha na kukemea kwa jina la Yesu Kristo, ushindwe. Baba mwema, watoto wetu wanaenda tu shule, wewe mwenyewe waongoze, mwenyewe walinde, uwe mbele zao wanapoingia na kutoka, nasi pia utulinde tunapoenda na kutoka, kwa sababu mambo mengi yanatendeka na hatuelewi, lakini wewe unaelewa, wewe unaweza. Alishindwa katika msalabani, na hapo Yesu akasema kwamba it is consummated, it is finished. Tunajua kwamba shetani ameshindwa, ingawaje na tusingira, tunajua kwamba shetani ameshindwa. Kristo mwana wa Mungu, ulete mwanga, ulinde familia zetu, ulinde kaunti yetu, ulinde viongozi wetu, ulinde nchi yetu yote, uondoe ufisadi, uondoe mambo mabaya, ulete uelewano. Baba mwema, jamii ya Mlembe imekusanyika hapa siku ya leo. Tunaona viongozi wao wote na wao watoto wamewaleta pamoja. Tunaombea amani, tunaombea unity of purpose kwa nchi hii, nchi ya Mlembe, ili tufanye kazi pamoja, viongozi wafanye kazi pamoja. Tunapowashukuru kwa sababu wamekusanyika hapa siku ya leo kuendeleza nasi amani hii, the unity they have shown. Lord, may this unity prevail. Wakitoka hapa, Kristo mwana wa Mungu, utuelekeze vyema. Vijana hao wasikwe vizuri, wawe na sherehe nzuri. Tunapotoka hapa, sisi ni wasafiri hapa duniani, utulinde. Tutapokutana tena kuendelea kazi yako, ulinde gavana wetu na viongozi wote wakiendelea kutufanyia kazi hii mzuri. Kwa haya nimeomba nikiamini katika jina la Baba na la Mwana na la Roho Mtakatifu. Semeni amina.
Asante, tuketi kama kanisa. Hakika tumeguzwa sana.
Poleni wazazi, poleni walimu. Mungu wa faraja awe pamoja nanyi. Asante.
Asante sana viongozi wetu wa kidini. Shukran Reverend James Mwaura kwa kuendesha kipindi hicho cha ibada vyema. Asante sana. Na alivyoomba Father Mchanga ni kwamba amani na idumu, na kilichotuunganisha hapa msiba wa kupoteza watoto wetu, basi mada ni hiyo moja. Tusije tukaongeza ndani masuala ya siasa, tusalie kuomboleza. Wanenaji ambao watapata nafasi ya kuzungumza hapa kwa heshima kubwa, zungumza masuala yanayoambatana na waliolala, kuwafariji waliosalia. Kwa heshima kubwa, naomba sasa tuweze kuongozwa katika kipindi kifuatacho na Mheshimiwa Gavana wa gatuzi letu la Kakamega, akiwa pia mwenyekiti wa baraza la magavana nchini Kenya, Mheshimiwa Wycliffe Ambetsa Opara. Karibu Your Excellency.
Jamii ambayo imefiwa, wenzangu magavana wakiongozwa na naibu mwenyekiti wa baraza la magavana, Gavana wanasiasa ambao wako hapa, Permanent Secretary wa Wizara ya Elimu Bwana Belio Kipsang na wengine wote hapa, National Government ikiongozwa na Regional Commissioner. Tuko hapa na wabunge wengi kutoka hapa Kakamega na nje ya Kakamega,
na pia MCA wetu wote wako hapa na viongozi wengi. Meona NAT wako hapa wakiongozwa na Secretary General Bwana Sosion. Siku hii ni siku ya huzuni kabisa, aswa sisi watu wa Kakamega tumepata pigo kubwa, aswa kuwapoteza watoto wetu ambao ni watoto wachanga ambao hawana hatia yoyote. Hili lilikuwa pigo kubwa kwetu, ndio kwa sababu tuliamua tuje pamoja vile tuko, tufanye maombolezi pamoja na familia wako uhuru kutoka hapa
wapenzi wetu, na pia wako uhuru kama hawako tayari kwa mambo ya masishi kule nyumbani,
wako uhuru kurudisha mwili kwa jumba la kulaza maiti hapo Kakamega, alafu wenyewe tusaidie nao wajipange wafanye masishi yao baadaye. Tuliharakisha haya kwa sababu yale mambo yako. Vile mmejua, tumempoteza rais wa pili ambaye alikuwa wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, na tutakuwa tunaenda huko pia kuona mazishi yake itakuwa namna gani. Sisi kama county tuko na formal statement ambayo ningependelea nisome, alafu nitamkaribisha Permanent Secretary wa Ministry of Education asome yake, alafu mimi nitarudi hapa mwenyewe kushika program ili tukifika saa 7:30 tuwe tumemaliza hii sherehe, kwa sababu tuna maiti ambayo inatoka hapa mpaka kwenda Nakuru, na maiti inatoka hapa inaenda kule Vihiga. So this is the statement from the county government of Kakamega. But before I read the official statement, I want to thank all the people who have sent various condolences, including the President of the Republic of Kenya, through the Deputy President who was here on Monday, and others from colleagues, governors, from political
leaders, business community, all of them have stood with us. Fellow mourners, the deaths of 14 young school children at one of our highest performing schools in national examination is a big blow to Kakamega County. Let me take this opportunity once again to convey our heartfelt condolences to the bereaved families and the Kakamega Primary Schools community. This is the largest school in this county. And because this school has been performing well, it has attracted pupils from outside this county. I remember one of my colleagues, when he realized that there were students, pupils who passed on that were coming outside the county, because that this was a boarding school. It's not a boarding school. The building that the accident happened was constructed through community effort and the support of the county government. When we constructed that structure that houses 32 classrooms. The school has consistently recorded impressive results in the KCPE examination since 2015, with a mean score of at least 322 points for the entire 5-year period. The total population of this school is 3,128, plus ECD 296. It has 76 teachers, of which 70 is for primary and 6 are for ECD. As you are aware, the tragic stampede happened last Monday, during which 39 pupils were injured and rushed to the county general hospital. We lost 14 of them, of which 13 are here. 1 has been buried. 9 of whom were girls and 5 boys, all pupils of standard 4 and 5. And to remember them, their names are as follows. Standard 4, Prince family from Wisero sub-county in Kakamega, Naila Kemerenge, who was buried on 5th February, is from here, Lurambi, Kakamega. June Navumisa from Lurambi sub-county, Kakamega. Simon Waweru from Molo sub-county, Nakuru County. Standard 5, Catherine Allo from Butere sub-county, Kakamega. Joseph Mudhami from Ikolomani sub-county. Samuel Shimeha from Emohaya, Vihiga County. Prudence Elisa from Navaholo, Kakamega County. Lavenda Akasa from Lurambi, Kakamega County. Vanessa Andeso from Navajo Sub-County, Kakamega County, Antonite Hayumbi from Hamisi Sub-County in Vihiga County, Nicole Apola from Lurambi Sub-County, Kakamega County, Fidel Kumbete from Lugari Sub-County, Kakamega County, Betha Munywere from Navajo Sub-County, Kakamega County. We are grateful to Kenya Red Cross, UNICEF, World Vision, St. John's, Masinde Muliro University, and Kenya Counseling Psychologists for their quick response and disaster professional support to the school and the entire staff of the national government, headed by the regional commissioner. Fellow mourners, Kakamega County has had a series of calamities, incurring heavy human loss from effect of terrorism and road accidents in the country since 2014. In September 2014, the county lost 7 people through a tragic road accident at Rivaisuhu while transporting home family members who had died. In December 2014, we lost people in Mandera massacre, which claimed lives of many other Kenyans. In April 2015, the county lost 8 people through an act of terrorism that claimed many other Kenyans at Garissa University. In October 2018, we lost 31 people in a horror bus accident in Kericho, in which a family of 3 was wiped out. Today, we are gathered here to mourn the lives of 14 innocent children who died through a tragic accident of 3rd February 2020 at Kakamega Primary School. In view of this, I call upon fellow Kenyans to offer special prayers for this county. We believe your prayers to Almighty God will usher us to a greater peace this year and beyond. I thank you very much for your attention. Now let me take this opportunity, and I'm not going to follow any protocol. Let me take this opportunity to invite the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Education, Principal Secretary, Minister of Education, Mr. Belio Kipsang, to read a statement from the Ministry of Education.
Thank you very much, Governor. The bereaved families and the affected families, the Kakamega primary community, the Governor of Kakamega, who is also the Chair of the Council of Governors, Honorable Baranya, our Regional Commissioner, and all government officials, both from the national government and the county government, Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, Honorable Aitangula, the entire elected leadership, fellow mourners. I will read a statement from the Cabinet Secretary for Education on behalf of the Government of Kenya. The statement. On behalf of His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, President Uhuru Kenyatta, and the entire Ministry of Education, I wish to join the entire country in mourning the death of 14 little angels through the most tragic and regrettable incident that happened on Monday, February 3rd, 2020. As government, it pains us when we lose one life of a learner. It's therefore more saddening when we lost all these young lives, learners who were not only the future and hope of their families, but also our dear country. And we are all, as we are all aware, investing in our young people is investing in the future. I therefore wish to assure all affected families and the entire school community that the government shares in your grief. As testimony to this promise of shouldering the burden together, the national government has been able to assist in a small way through donating 100,000 for each of the families that lost a child for support in funeral arrangements. We promised on Tuesday when we came here that the national government and the county government were going to work every step of the way with all the affected parents and learners, relatives and families, our teachers, to manage the effects of this particular tragedy. I am informed that those who were admitted to various hospitals were well attended and treated and discharged. This includes that 7 learners who were treated in the nearby facilities and discharged on that same Monday, the 3rd of February. 3 learners that were admitted to the surgical ward at Kakamega Referral Hospital and the neighboring facilities were treated and discharged on Tuesday, 4th of February. 3 other learners who were admitted to the Kakamega Referral Hospital General Ward were discharged on the 5th of February. The 2 learners that we all visited on that particular day, on Tuesday, who are in the intensive care unit at the Kakamega Referral Hospital, are making very good progress, and we are informed that they are on their way being transferred to the general ward. At this juncture, I would want to most sincerely thank the county government of Kakamega through the Governor, Honorable Baranya, for the support that they gave by ensuring that all the charges that were there were waived so that we can reduce the burden that our parents of these affected children would be reduced. Bwana Governor, once again, thank you very much. As we must continue standing with the entire community of this particular region, I wish to promise that the counseling sessions for all the affected learners, parents, teachers and their families will continue as long as these particular services are required. The Ministry of Education is putting in place all measures to ensure that the facilities in these very well performing schools are ready and friendly to receive our learners for normal classes on Monday. Those who will require guidance and counseling, as I've already mentioned, will continue to benefit from these particular services. I therefore kindly urge all parents of the 3,100 learners to allow our learners to resume classes on Monday. In conclusion, I wish to assure the country that the government has made critical progress in getting to the bottom of this particular matter to find out the exact cause of the stampede that killed our dear children. I wish all the learners in hospital and those at home a quick recovery. Thank you, and thank you all. May the Almighty God continue blessing us and guiding us. Once again, I would want to urge all of us to stand with the families of these young ones and pray for them. It was too soon. This is an investment that we are investing into the future that we have lost. We stand with you and pray with you. Thank you very much.
Asante sana Principal secretary, na nimeambiwa ameongea kwa niaba ya national government. So national government imemalizia hapo. Sasa we have tuko na viongozi wengi hapa na sisi wote hatuwezi kuongea kwa sababu tumekuja hapa kwa maombolezi tu, tusaidiane na hii jamii, tuone hawa watu wetu, watoto wetu tunawasika vizuri. Tuko na waheshimiwa hapa, sijui mheshimiwa NTV for this area. Okay. Nimeambiwa mheshimiwa wa hapa hapo safari na mahali pake nitaita mheshimiwa Wangwe wa Nabaholo. Recognize wabunge wote ambao wamekuja hapa na pia kuja wabunge wa Kakamega County na wale wametoka nje.
Your Excellency, the Governor of Kakamega, Honorable Paranya, the PS na other excellencies kutoka kaunti zingine na watu wote wa Kakamega, kwa niaba yangu, niaba ya familia yangu na vile vile kwa niaba ya watu wa Nabaholo, tunasimama hapa tukisema pole kwa huu mkasa ambao ulitokea. Sisi kama watu wa Nabaholo tumeumia, tuko na watoto wetu watatu. Letu ni kuomba tu Your Excellency kwamba Mungu aiweke roho zao na wenzao pahala pema. Niko na wenzangu ambao wanatoka hapa Kakamega na mheshimiwa ametoka hapa saa hii anasafiri kwenda Amerika na ameomba kwa niaba yake mimi nishikilie wadhifa huo. Na wenzangu ambao tuko nao kutoka Kakamega, nitaomba tafadhali msimame, mkuje mbele niwatambulishe kwa watu wetu wa Kakamega na wageni. Na vile vile kuna wachache ambao tumetoka nje, tumeona kama wawili watatu ambao ni waheshimiwa wa bunge la taifa, National Assembly. Tafadhali the senators mtakuja baadaye. Niwatambulishe kwa wananchi. Karibu mheshimiwa, sema jina yako tafadhali dakika moja alafu.
Asante. Mimi naitwa Ayub Sabuna, mjumbe wa Lugari, na niko hapa kusema pole. Mimi ni mmoja wao, nimeathirika. Kuna mtoto mmoja kutoka Lugari. Mimi ningependa kueleza waziri wa elimu, hii mchezo wanafanya ni mbaya. Kwa nini shule haikuwa na safety and standard officer kwa wale watoto wadogo? Sisi bunge ukizunguka, naenda kuuliza hiyo swali na tutapambana na nyinyi. Kwa haya mengi, poleni sana.
Asante sana mheshimiwa Ayub, tafadhali tujitambulishe tu jina kwa sababu ya wakati.
Bwana Yesu asifiwe. God is good all the time. Kwa majina naitwa Mheshimiwa Grace Wamalwa, mbunge wa Kimini, na kwa niaba ya watu wa Trans-County ningependa kuleta rambirambi kwa familia na vile vile county government ya Kakamega na kusema pole sana kwa kupoteza wale malaika. Najua mmelia sana, naomba mlilie kwa Mungu. Na ule shetani mwenye alisababisha haya maneno, tunasema shetani ashindwe. Shetani toka. Shetani riswa. Sisi tuna huzuni kubwa na tunaomba tuseme ya kwamba viongozi na kanisa iliyoko kabla watoto hawajarudi waende wafanye cleansing ya hiyo shule. Mimi naomba mlilie kwa Mungu. Najua mmelia sana. Ukisoma Biblia, the book of Revelations, the Bible says it's only the Lord who will wipe all your tears. Pole sana, mlilie kwa Mungu na Mungu wa amani awabariki.
Haya, kwa majina, mimi ni Bernard Masaka Shinani. Mimi ni mjumbe wa Ikolomani. Nimekuja hapa kusimama na familia na watu wa Kakamega wote kusindikisha hawa malaika wetu ili waweze kwenda na wawekwe mahali pema peponi. Kwa Kakamega County, mimi ni chairman wa Kakamega County Members of Parliament. Sisi tunauliza tu kitu kimoja kama wajumbe wa Kakamega County, ile timu inafanya report itoe haraka, kwa sababu hiyo report tunataka kuaction kwa. Na makanisa pia na nyinyi tunamuomba mkuje pamoja. Kakamega tumekuwa na mikasa mingi, tuweze kufanya maombi ya Kakamega County ili mambo hii ituondokee. Asante.
Bwana asifiwe. Bwana asifiwe tena. Kwa majina naitwa Mheshimiwa Kathleen Wambilianga, nikiwa woman representative wa Bungoma County. Tunaleta rambirambi zetu kutoka Bungoma na pia naleta rambirambi zangu za chama changu cha KUPPET kama National Secretary Gender. Sisi kama viongozi tunalia tukisema lazima mikakati iwekwe. Tusingoje visa kama hizi ndio tuje tuseme pole. Tukirudi kule bungeni ni nyaketi kwa committee ya education. We are going to cause a national conversation and something must be done. Safety in our schools must be discussed. Lazima watoto wawe train, walimu wawe train na kila mtu awe anajua tunafanya nini wakati wa mkasa. Sina mengi. Mungu wa amani aweke roho za hawa malaika mahali pema peponi. Asanteni.
Kwa majina naitwa Dr. David Eseli Simiyu, mjumbe wa Tongaren, Bungoma County. Nimekuja hapa kuleta rambirambi zangu binafsi na kwa niaba wa wakaaji wa Tongaren. Kwa mimi binafsi nilikuwa mwanafunzi wa hiyo shule ya Kakamega Primary kwa darasa la 3 na la 4. So ni shule na ienzi sana hapa Kakamega. Hii ndio kitofu ya nyumba ya Mlembe. Jambo kama hili likiwakumba sisi wote Western tunahuzunika. Ndio tukasema tuje hapa tuwe pamoja na nyinyi, tuomboleze na nyinyi. Na tunamwomba Mwenyezi Mungu arehemu roho za watoto wetu. Asante.
Asante sana Your Excellency kwa sababu umenipa nafasi hiyo. Mimi nakurudishia nafasi hii uendelee na program. Asante, Mungu awabariki.
Sawa, asante sana kwa kuongea kwa ufupi. Nimeona KUPPET chairman yuko hapa. Nilisema follow any protocol. KUPPET Mheshimiwa Mbogo, and then Nat will be the next. Akimaliza wewe kuja tu, tutakuita. Ukiona anaenda na wewe unaingia. Asante sana.
Asante sana His Excellency the Governor, wale party leaders ambao wako hapa, Honorable Mudavadi pamoja na Wetangula, governors ambao wamesimama na sisi kwa hii kikao, wabunge wenzangu na wageni kwa ujumla. Mimi nimeleta rambirambi kutoka kwa watu wangu wa Muhaya na chama cha KUPPET, na tunasema pole sana. Kawaida yetu ya watu wa Western, ukikuja kwa hafla kama hii lazima unatembea na kitu kidogo, naweza nikasahau, na chama kilinipatia pesa kidogo, bwana gavana, iende kwa hizo mafamilia. Nitawacha hapa na waliniwachia shilingi 500,000 kuweka kwa hayo mafamilia. Jambo la pili ni kwamba ile ministry yetu ya education ambayo niko hapa na Bejo Kipsang ambayo ni PS. The truth is that hatuna safety and security measure guidelines katika shule zetu, na tumeongeza wingi wa wanafunzi katika shule zetu kwa huu policy ya 100% transition ambayo sisi tunaiunga. Kwa hivyo tukitoka hapa, sisi ni marafiki, tunatembea pamoja. Uambie CS Magoha na wewe tuite kongamano kirasmi ya kushughulikia vile tutahakikisha kwamba kuna safety measures katika shule zetu. Maybe a time must come when we need a department of safety in our schools. Maybe a time must come when we need a security and safety prefect in our schools. This must generate a discussion because tunakuwa na visa kama hivi na tunachukua ile mipango ya kigafla to attack them. When we were in the school in Dagoretti, we made a few knee-jerk steps. Tukafunga shule zingine tuka pull down, zingine tukasema zisikuwe. But now look at where we are. The truth is that CS and leaders who are here, some of our schools are time bombs. Na lazima tushughulikie hiyo jambo vizuri. Nikimalizia, sababu muda si wangu, nataka kuambia mimi nilienda pale katika shule hiyo. And here now I call upon the religious leaders, wale watu ambao walikuwa hapa wetu wa makanisa, tuombe pamoja na wale wanafunzi na hiyo shule. Bana befwe isende mundu munyole ndabirehara abana bafira ninyora kata esindu siriho sikiro mundu afire hara how nimenga ninyora baya abana bene bano bafuwa mbwena kata bandu nibakakwa kubone mbabana bakuitanga kubandi. Na nilipata hiyo block iko tuna watu 75. Mabana 20 bakafa kweli. Abantu bajikanisa kusai na sawa.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa.
Now, you introduce yourself. Just bring in my secretary. Okay.
Mheshimiwa gavana wetu wa jimbo hili gatuzi letu la Kakamega, governors wote ambao wako hapa, viongozi wa bunge, waheshimiwa ambao wako hapa, na viongozi wa tabaka mbalimbali ambao tumekuja kufariji wale ambao wamepoteza malaika wetu waliolala, walimu na jamii yote ya shule ya Kakamega Primary. Wazazi wapendwa, naomba niwasalimu katika jina la Yesu. Hamjambo? Bwana Yesu asifiwe. Naomba nijiunge na wanenaji wengine kuleta rambirambi zetu za dhati kama chama cha kutetea maslahi ya walimu NAT. Tumehuzunika sana kwa jambo hili ambalo limetendeka, na mwenyekiti wa magavana wetu tunakushukuru. Lakini wakati mwingine inafika tusemezane ukweli. Kama vile ndugu yangu Mboka alivyosema, tusingojee jambo litendeke na tunyamaze. Wakati kama huu tuseme ukweli ni ukweli. Wizara ya Elimu tuwaulize maswali. Ni jambo gani lililofanyika katika shule ile? Idara ya ukaguzi wa shule inafanya kazi yake kweli? Kama haifanyi tutamlaumu nani? Wakati huu ni wakati wa kuomboleza. Sisi kama chama tunasema pole. Kazi yangu kama mwenyekiti, tuna mnenaji wetu hapa ndugu Wilson Sosion, na kuomba ndugu mnenaji kuja utoe ujumbe wetu na taarifa yetu kwa undani zaidi.
Karibu mnenaji.
Asante sana ndugu mwenyekiti wa kitaifa. To Your Excellency, the Governor of Kakamega County, Honorable Wycliffe Oparanya, who is also the chairman of the Council of Governors, and to the people of Kakamega County, to the great national leaders from Western Kenya, led by His Excellency Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, and my great friend Moses Wetangula, to the leadership of Western members of parliament who are here, to the clergy, the spiritual leaders who help us to fight off the bad spirit of the devil, viongozi wa tabaka mbalimbali from the region of Western, and particularly to the family, to the parents of our departed young angels, to the community of Kakamega Primary School, and to the children of Kakamega Primary School, we are with you in prayer. We know how painful it is. To the teachers of Kakamega Primary, na kwetu zizi zote waombolezaji ambao wamefika hapa, napenda kutanguliza pole zetu kama chama na walimu wote wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, na zangu binafsi na familia yangu kama Secretary General wa Kenya National Union of Teachers. Ningependa kusema hayo kwa unyenyekevu, sababu hiyo ndio tumekuja hapa kwa ibada, kuwasindikiza na kuomboleza pamoja, na tuseme pamoja, mimi nitasema ukweli hapa, na ukweli mtupu. Mwenyezi Mungu anisaidie. Kabla niendelee, niwajulishe wale viongozi wa Kenya National Union of Teachers. Mnajua NAT is the largest and the strongest union in Eastern Central Africa. Na kuna wale walijaribu kuvuruga na kuharibu. Nawaambia shetani shindwe, tunasimama imara na tuko hapa na tunafanya kazi yetu. Tunaongozwa na mwenyekiti wa kitaifa Wycliffe Etole Omutei, Ali Abdi Hussein, Assistant National Treasurer, Clement Omolo, Assistant Secretary General, and John Wesonga, member of the National Executive Council, Agre Namisi, member of the National Executive Council, Chair Regional Council Chungani, and the entire team. Asanteni, munaweza keti chini. I want to give special mention to Executive Secretary Kakamega Central, Brother Engolo, where the school is situated. We are not happy today. Na hatukufurahia vile tulipata hii habari kwamba watoto ambao walikuwa na furaha waliwaaga wazazi asubuhi. Tunapata taarifa mbaya kwamba hawapo tena. And I want to read the book of Matthew chapter 18 verse 6. Inasema kwamba whosoever does any little harm to these children, afadhali jiwe lifungiwe kwa shingo na atupwe wapi? Someone is responsible for the death of these children. Negligence. Lakini kabla niseme hayo, tumetangulia kusema pole, tunawatakia mema, and I want to convey condolences from the following groups. This is an event that has affected us internationally. and we have received several correspondences and mails of condolences through Kenya National Union of Teachers globally to the people of Kakamega County. We have received from Tanzania Teachers Union, we have received from Uganda National Association of Teachers, we have received from Australia Education Union, we have received from National Education Union of the UK, we have received from National Education Association of the United States, we have received from American Federation of Teachers, and we have also received from the Secretary General himself, the leader and the spokesman of all the 32 million teachers all over the world, Brother David Edwards. It is important I convey those messages. Let me move straight to the cause of the death. I'm not beating about the bush. Tumeona kwa magazeti imeandikwa na madaktari. And I'm happy Dr. Alwale is here. I'm medical doctor by excellence. And a friend of the union is my friend. Anajua tumefanya nini na tutaendelea kufanya. The doctor has said the children died out of what we call asphyxia, lack of oxygen. And even one of the students ako na fracture hapa kwa shoulder. The stampede has been talked about. Hao watoto waliangukiana. Kwa nini waliangukiana? Kwa nini waliangukiana? Tumeambiwa kwamba, and Dr. Kipsang here, the enrollment in this school ni ile kubwa haijawahi onekana sehemu nyingine katika dunia. Watoto 1,300. 1,300. Hata katika chuo kikuu cha Masinde Muliro University, to have 3,000, 5,000, that is too huge. Hao watoto waliangukiana kwa congestion out of negligence of the Ministry of Education of not guiding the school properly. Tumesikia maneno mengine, hiyo tunaombea Mungu watu wa kanisa. Kama iko maneno ile ingine, tumesikia mambo ya wengine kuenda kuomba. All schools we agree religiously, kama kuna shule inataka mambo ya kanisa iwe tu na kanisa moja ile inatambulika. Shule yetu haiwezi kuwa barabara ya kila mtu ya kupita na kuabudu kila kitu. That must be corrected. I agree. The spiritual aspect must be collected, but the scientific report that indicates watoto waliangukiana. Let me point out to the negligence. The Education Act, Dr. Kipsang, Section 64, 65, 66. We must have what we call a quality assurance and standards report and committee. Hiyo ndio wanaitwa inspectors, wanakagua na kutupatia report. Mheshimiwa Paranya, do we have a working quality assurance and standard team hapa kwa Kakamega? Tunaambiwa hakuna. Tunaelewana? Tunaelewana, na hiyo ni responsibility ya minister. The law is clear. Establish Education Standards and Quality Assurance Committee under Section 64, 65, 66. This has not been done by the current minister, na pia hata tukiwa hapa hakuna. And I'm telling my brothers hata kule kwa kumbe, hata kama tunataka hiyo mkutano, the right things must be done under the law so that our children are safe. Mbona hiyo kamati haijaundwa? Kwa sasa tukiwa hapa, tungekuwa tunapokea report kutoka quality assurance. Na nafikiri turudie ile walikuwa naitwa inspectors. Hakuna education village sectors anywhere in the world. By the way, Sosian sio mtu wa kusimamisha, nitamaliza mambo. Tafadhali. Consequently, this is a global event. Tunasema hivyo sababu last year mlisikia huko Nairobi Precious Talent Academy, shule ilianguka na watoto na kukufa. Leo tuko hapa, hatujui tutaenda wapi next. So because of a failure of a national body called Quality Assurance and Standards. Na hiyo iko kwa minister. Therefore we are making the following demands. One, lazima tuwe na public health report kwa kila shule, particularly where there have been issues. Hiyo ya Nairobi na hii ya Kakamega. Tunataka inspection report ya public health. Number two, tunataka inspection report ya public works. Mheshimiwa Parani. That must be done. And then number three, quality assurance report kutoka kwa Ministry of Education. Bila hiyo maneno mengine yote itakuwa public relation ya kudanganyana na tungojee watoto wengine wakufe. Tunasikizana? Tunasikizana? Bila hiyo tukisikia mkasa mwingine kama huu katika jamhuri, tutasimamisha masomo kila mahali katika jamhuri kufanya. Alafu ya mwisho, kwa hiyo watu wanafanya biashara na watoto. Katiba ya jamhuri ni haki ya kila mtoto kupewa elimu bora kupitia taxes ya raia. Even these unlicensed private schools, kama hiyo Talent Academy, imagine a classroom that is not inspected by public health, it's not inspected by quality assurance, public works, watoto wanakaa, wanakufa, wanaanguka, tunanyamaza as if nothing has happened. This must come to an end. Hata mashule yale yanaoperate without registration, tufuate sheria. Mimi tutakuwa kama chama tunapigania tufuate sheria vile iko. All schools that are unlicensed should be closed. And then finally, mambo ya schools infrastructure. Vile Mheshimiwa Paranya and all the governors are here. All over the world, mambo ya kujenga mashule inakuwa completely devolved na inafanyika kwa katika grassroots. We recommend that schools infrastructure be enhanced in terms of funding.
To attend, and instead he has asked me to chair on his behalf. We have had a very good meeting today, both at Parliament buildings and here at Nyayo Stadium, just to ensure that the motions around the important days for us are well organized and synchronized properly. We are satisfied as a committee that tomorrow, when the viewing of the body of the late president begins, that everything is in place, and all we have to do is to announce to the country the arrangements that are associated with that tomorrow. So tomorrow, as announced yesterday by the head of public service, the viewing will be commenced by His Excellency the President at 10:15, and therefore we expect the public to have arrived. They are holding ground in that neighborhood around Comesa ground, and because Parliament Road will be closed, there will be order there for a proper queue, so that after His Excellency the President views at 10:15, then the dignitaries will be given a few minutes, an hour or so, to view, and the viewing then gets open to the public for tomorrow, Sunday and Monday, every day beginning at 8 a.m. To 5 p.m. There is no invitation to the public viewing. Every Kenyan who wants to pay his or her last respect to the departed president is free to come and view. There will be a lot of protocol officers who will guide you through the viewing. We have done the walkthrough, and we expect that as many as possible Kenyans will be able to view. We have also looked at all the other logistics in Parliament, and we are satisfied as a committee that everything is in order. What we have been doing here also is to look at the preparation here. As you can see, it's a beehive of activities to ensure that this dais is ready, to ensure that where the casket will be laid on the green field is ready, and to ensure that the motions around here are ready. And as a committee, we are satisfied that by Tuesday, when we will need to use this specific venue, we will be ready, and we are certain, we are satisfied that the teams working here are putting their best foot forward, and they'll be ready. We have also looked at the rest of the program. How will the other things flow? And that is what we took a bit of time doing, and we are also satisfied that there is a lot of coordination, there is a lot of synchronization for here and Kabarak. So overall, the activities are: tomorrow we'll have the beginning of public viewing, which will be commenced by His Excellency the President. That will go on between tomorrow, Sunday and Monday. Then on Tuesday, there will be a national thanks memorial service for the departed president here at Nyayo Stadium. Then on Wednesday, there will be the service at Kabarak, and thereafter, immediately after the service at Kabarak, there will be the final rites at His Excellency the former president's home. In Nairobi, there will require to be a bit of traffic management. So around Parliament, Parliament Road shall be closed to traffic. Uhuru Highway, the side that leads to Nyayo Stadium, the inner lane that branches off to Parliament, that lane shall be closed to motorists, and the the Harambe Avenue will also be closed to motorists, and that will remain closed for tomorrow all the way to the day the public viewing is finished on 10th. So that's the brief, and by and large, as a committee, we are satisfied that we are ready to give our late president a very, very, very heroic and befitting send-off. Thank you very much. Any questions?
I think Shukri Wachu from K24. Just a clarification. You spoke of an open casket. I'm assuming because with the founding president, most of the things are almost similar. And with the founding president, he wasn't necessarily in a casket during the viewing. So is it your normal casket or just like a flat?
First of all, I didn't talk of an open casket. There will be public viewing. There are some space. We must also give preference to the family, and that is one of the space that we have asked the family to consult. And when we are doing our next briefing, we'll give you a clear answer. But we have allowed the family to give their preference in terms of whether they want an open or they want closed.
So far, how many heads of state have encountered it now?
We have indications that heads of state from the EAC will come. But as you are aware, there is a summit going on in the neighborhood here in Addis Ababa, and we have asked the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to confirm to us as soon as possible, but there are all indications that the EAC heads of state will come. Thank you very much. There will be a briefing, but Kabarak is not a private, it will be at Kabarak High School. So you are invited as media to Kabarak High School. Thank you very much.
To say the following. Nitaambia Inquest wananchi, na kama ni uongo, mniambie ni uongo. Nitaambia Inquest kwamba lile jengo ambalo maafa ilitokea is functionally defective. Kwa sababu ukienda kwa stairs, bwana permanent secretary education, hakuna reli ya watoto kushikilia, watoto wanatembea tu hapo exposing themselves to death. Number 2, hiyo stairs is 4 foot in mbele peke yake. In a huge building that is carrying 3,000 people, you need the size of a staircase kama ile ambayo tuko nayo Tuskys, which is over 6 feet wide. Na isitoshe unahitaji ramp yenye mtoto akiroll aanguki, ana roll na anaendelea kucheza. The engineer mwenye alipitisha hiyo kitu, Mheshimiwa Oparanya, kama wewe mwajiri, achisha huyo mtu kazi, he should not have certified that building. The second thing I want to tell the Inquest ni kwamba shule ya 3,300 children cannot have 70 teachers. Lazima tuwe na walimu wa kutosha to control that huge population. In fact, those are 5 schools in one school. Number 3, kitu yenye nataka kuambia Inquest. I want to tell some of the little young politicians in this country. Some of us, when we speak, it is because of the long walk that we have made in the journey of politics. Nilisema Kakamega Primary School is not a headquarters for church services on Sunday. Unaenda kwa kanisa, hiyo darasa kanisa inaendelea, ile ingine inaendelea, hiyo ingine inaendelea. Yale makanisa ambayo mnaendelea Kakamega Primary, where is your headquarters? Kwa sababu Wakatoliki wako St. Joseph's, wako Amalemba, Wakwekas wako Amalemba, wengine wako hapa na pale. Nyinyi mnafanya nini kwa shule kama hamuna headquarters? Hamstahili kuwa registered as churches. Na sio mchezo, bwana Commissioner wa Police, sio mchezo, kwa sababu kuna kanisa hapa ilipatikana kama imeua watoto wetu mara 2. Inaitwa Winners Chapel. Wewe Mheshimiwa Malala, wakati ninakosoa kanisa, alafu unakuja kujibu mimi, bali ya kubaranga if you knew these things. Bali ya kubaranga we hold shishwabu. Number 2, kama wewe unataka kutetea wale ambao wana sacrifice our children, we want to ask you, pia wewe Mheshimiwa Malala, do not challenge me when I question the integrity of our churches. You are the least qualified because you are one of the people who is being investigated kwa wale watu wenye walikuwa Mumiasi wakauawa na hatujui whether they were also being sacrificed. Wananchi, jambo langu la mwisho, Jambo langu la mwisho, wananchi, vandu vavaira kuvaluya sana, vandu vavaira kuvaluya sana. Ati tunaambiwa kama wewe uko na matanga kwa boma yako na umewasha moto, unaambiwa kwamba matanga yako haitaendelea kwa sababu jirani matanga iko kwake, matanga yake ni kubwa kuliko yako. Sisi tuko na matanga kama Waluya ya wanaume na wanawake watoto 14, na kama bahati mbaya matanga iko kwa jirani, mzee mmoja amekufa, waendelee programu yao na sisi tuendelee na programu yetu. Asanteni sana wananchi wa Kakamega, asanteni sana. Ninafunga kwa kuhuzunika, ni kuhuzunika kwamba wanatuchezea mambo ya matanga, hata biashara yetu wamekuja wamepomoa kioski zetu zote hapa Kakamega, na hakuna mtu anainua kidole. Mimi wananchi wa Kakamega, mimi wakati ninazungumza mambo ya kioski ni kwa sababu ninajua sisi, hiyo ndio uchumi yetu. Mnaona wakati wanabomoa kioski, nikienda Mumiasi kupanga mambo ya kuamsha masini yetu, wanaleta polisi inapiga mimi kwa sababu wanataka tuje hapa watulazimishe mambo ya BBI ambayo wanataka wapatie mtoto ya Kenyatta nafasi ya kuendelea kuwa president wa Kenya, something which we don't want at all. Ndugu zangu governors, wale ambao mmefanya kazi miaka 10, mkubali, hatutapendua katiba, muende nyumbani. Mheshimiwa Oparanya, watu wengine sisi tuje hapa tufanye kazi, mmefanya yenu, wakati wenu umekwisha. Asanteni sana.
Asante sana. Asante sana Bwana Kalwale. Nataka sasa unyamaze. Nataka sasa niwatambue wale ambao walikuwa kwa kamati ya kuandaa hii mazishi. Kuna county commissioner yuko hapa, county commissioner. Kwa hiyo kamati alikuwa na represent national government. Then Mr. Jibole ako hapa na county secretary. Huyo county secretary alikuwa ana represent county government. Saa hii nimepokea shilingi 1,100 kutoka kwa Kenya National Union of Teachers NAT. Ningetaka nipeane hii pesa kwa county commissioner, mtaweka pamoja na zile zingine, alafu kamati yenu itagawa vile inatakikana. Pia nataka nipeane check kutoka kwa Kupet vile mwenyekiti alikuwa hapa amesema wameleta shilingi 1,500 na hii ni check ya shilingi 1,500 kwa Kakamega Primary School. Hiyo commissioner ndio hiyo. Na pia tumepata shilingi 1,140 kutoka kwa West Kenya Sugar Company Limited. Hii pesa itawekwa pamoja na family wataitwa na waone vile watakawanya. 140,000 from West Kenya Sugar Company. Sawa sawa. Sasa nataka ni mkaribishe ndugu yangu Wetangula. Mheshimiwa Wetangula, karibu ulete rambirambi zako.
Asante sana. Habari ya Mlembe. Mlembe Andi. Bwana Yesu asifiwe. Na shetani ashindwe. Ashindwe kabisa. Governor Oparanya and your colleagues, governors, my brother Musalia Mudavadi, waheshimiwa wabunge, viongozi wa serikali na waombolezaji, tuko hapa leo kwa siku ya majonzi kuomboleza kifo cha wale malaika 14. Mmoja amezikwa tayari. As we stand here, we are mourning unavoidable death of our children. Avoidable because if care was taken, we wouldn't be here. I want to urge the national government that's in charge of education. Vile huwa muna renew licenses ya kila mfanyabiashara Kenya hii, tunataka kuona kila mwaka a certificate of approval and compliance to every school that it is fit to accommodate and teach our children. Kwamba wana choo za kutosha, wana ulinzi wa kutosha, wana walimu wa kutosha. Pili, in circumstances such as this, under the law, it is not open to our colleagues in the police to investigate such a calamity. The DPP should order that an inquest file be opened before a magistrate of a senior rank so that a thorough inquest is carried out to find out whether any human being is culpable in a criminal nature by either an act or an omission that caused the death of those innocent children. Upon doing that is when those culpable will be prosecuted for manslaughter, whichever offense they prefer. Because in my mind, I have no doubt that there was an act of gross negligence in the management of the affairs of this school. Walimu kule tunaona watoto wanasoma. When the children are leaving to go home, kila mwalimu wa klasi yake huwa anaandamana na watoto polepole mpaka kule wanachukuliwa. Huwezi kuachilia watoto watoke kwa shule wakikimbia kama ng'ombe zinaingia kwa cattle bin. Alafu tunapoteza maisha kiholela. Sasa tunasimama hapa kwa majonzi makubwa because as a region, as a community, we have lost a part of our generation for the future. And as we mourn today, let this be the last and a lesson to all schools that enough is enough. We've lost children too many. Na kelele inapigwa Polisi wanakimbia huko, huyo anakimbia. After 2 months, business as usual. This must come to an end. So as we convey our condolences, we don't want anything to be swept under the carpet. Tunataka kujua ukweli na ukweli mtupu ni nini iliua wale watoto. It is not enough to give us postmortem reports and tell us it was asphyxia or whatever. We want to know what caused the asphyxia that deprived our children oxygen to lose their lives. Lastly, kwa niaba yangu, chama cha Ford Kenya na wanachama wake, pia tumeleta mchango kidogo shilingi 100,000 ambao nitamkabidhi Gavana Oparanya ili iende kwa familia kusaidia. Bandu befe pole, wela wechi family kino kamani, munafasi ndinyino, nekulomba kulikano, kasi etani, lazima arishwe. Asante sana. Sasa ndugu yangu Musalia pia atakuja kuongea, alafu mturuhusu tunakimbia matanga ingine kule Malava na Mount Elgon. Murio muna bandu befe.
County is 100,000. County commissioner, ungekalia karibu. You will need security. You are son of your security. Sasa, as you know, this is the responsibility of the Ministry of Education. Ndio kwa sababu nimepeana nafasi ya kutosha kwa Wizara ya Elimu. Sisi tunafanya tu coordination kama county. This is their responsibility. I've given the principal secretary amesoma statement, nimemupa KUPPET chairman ameongea, nimemupa NAT secretary ameongea. Katika hiyo section ya elimu, is there any other sector that has not been given a chance? Kwa sababu hii ni matanga yenu, mumekwisha. Sawa. Haya, sasa ndugu yangu msala kuja kusalimia watu. Yeah. Okay.
Asante sana Governor Wycliffe Oparanya.
Those pictures were coming live to you from the Bukungu Stadium, where a funeral service is being held for 13 of the 14 pupils who died on Monday evening in Kakamega and who were from the Kakamega Primary School in a stampede. We've heard from various leaders, including the Kenya National Union of Teachers Secretary General Wilson Sossion, who has put the Minister, or rather the Cabinet Secretary for Education, George Magoha, on the spot over his failure to appoint or install a Quality Assurance Standards Committee. We take a short commercial break, but we'll be back with the 1 p.m. news.
How do I say
funeral service of 13 of the 14 children who perished at the Kakamega Primary School is being held. The Ministry of Education has come under fierce attack following the death of the 14 pupils. Now, a section of leaders attending the memorial in honor of the fallen pupils have accused the ministry of failing to establish safety and security measures in schools despite an explosive population occasioned by the ongoing 100% transition program introduced by the government. Let's listen in.
Kwa majina naitwa Seneta Dr. Gertrude Msurude Ilima. Hamjambo wote. Hamjambo tena. Siku ya leo nataka niseme ya kwamba ni siku ya huzuni kwa walimu, ni siku ya huzuni kwa wanakakamega, ni siku ya huzuni hata kwa familia zote zile zimepoteza watoto wao. Na nataka niseme ya kwamba ni wakati wa kufanya uchunguzi ili tujue haswa ni nini ilisababisha hiyo kusukumana mpaka watoto wakakufa. Na nataka niseme ya kwamba hii si wakati wa kulaumiana, sababu mambo ya kifo wakati mwingine ni mambo ya Mwenyezi Mungu. Lakini nataka niseme katika jina la Yesu Kristu tunakemea kifo kwa mashule katika jina la Yesu Kristu. Tunasema riswa. Riswa. Asanteni sana, na ninajua ya kwamba Mungu atawarehemu, Mungu atawapatia nguvu. Kwa hivyo nasema kwamba uchunguzi ifanywe ili tuweze kujua ni nini haswa ilisababisha hivyo.
Asante Mama Senator Shionga.
Gavana wetu, Gavana mpendwa, Gavana wetu wa Paranya, Gavana wetu wenye wamefika hapa, viongozi, wazazi na walimu. Kwa majina naitwa Seneta Mteule Seneta Shionga. Nimefika hapa kuleta rambirambi zangu za binafsi na familia yangu kama kiongozi mmoja wapo viongozi wa hapa. Mimi yangu ni kusema tu ya kwamba hapa tumekuja kuomboleza.
All right, that particular funeral service continues as preparations for the funeral service of the late Mzee Daniel Arap Moi are in top gear, as well as in Parliament, where his body will lie in state for 3 days. Interior PS Karanja Kibicho has said the government is working with the Moi family to ensure the late ex-president is given a befitting send-off. Leila Mohammed gives us an update. Leila, I had him speak about road closures. Which roads should we expect to be closed for the next couple of days?
Tomorrow being a day where the VVIPs, who will be led by the Commander-in-Chief of the current Kenya Defence Forces, who is President Uhuru Kenyatta, will be a security issue where there will be a need for the security agencies to close some sections of the road. So part of Parliament Road, exactly the entire stretch from the Holy Family Basilica all the way up to the Parliament roundabout will be closed tomorrow. Some sections of City Hall Way will also be closed, as well as Harambee Avenue, to allow the VVIPs to be able to access Parliament, where the body will be brought at around 8 a.m. in the morning. But what you can see is the military officers just preparing themselves for what will happen here on Tuesday morning. Remember, this will be full civilian and military honors in honor of a former commander-in-chief of the Kenya Armed Forces. That was before the 2010 when the Constitution changed their name to the Kenya Defence Forces. So we've had a briefing from Interior PS Karanja Kibichu, who has just given an itinerary of how events will be tomorrow. He says all Kenyans from all walks of life will be allowed into the event. There will be no need for them to be invited to come and view or pay their last respects. However, considering that the President and other VIPs will be there, they say there will be a whole holding area next to the Kenyatta International Convention Center, where Kenyans will be held until the VVIPs leave for them to be able to access Parliament buildings. Well, Nyayo National Stadium is monumental. Nyayo himself will be wheeled into the Nyayo National Stadium on Tuesday morning, where Kenyans from all walks of life will be giving him last respects. We expect heads of state from the East African community. However, we shall get clarification later, because we are aware that there is an African Union meeting in Addis Ababa at the moment. So we will be given details of who exactly within the African continent will be able to stand with Kenyans on a day when they are honoring a man who was part of Kenya's history for 24 years. So basically, Olive, we've been to the Parliament buildings in the morning here at the Nyayo National Stadium. They say that everything is up to top gear. The police will be in charge to look out for the road system from the Valley Road all the way up to Parliament buildings, where the military police, who have been guarding the vicinity since yesterday, will also be there just to ensure that everything goes as smoothly as possible. So what you can see is just what the remnants of what has been an entire morning of activity. These officers making sure that they give what was once a man who was in charge of the Kenya Armed Forces for about 24 years, one who led this country at that particular time, also to give them their last respects. We'll be able to see what the military will be doing in terms of draping and escorting the casket here on that particular day as time goes by. So the government says there will be another briefing in Kabarak, where Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i is there. He is being accompanied by the Chief of Defense Forces, General Samson Mwathete, who are there just to find out what will be. They say the media will be allowed at the Moi High School, Kabarak, where the funeral service of the late Mzee Jomo Kenyatta will be held before it goes into a private session in his Kabarak home. For now, Olive, back to you.
Thank you, Leila. When you have Leila Mohammed on ground, you can be sure that you will not miss a thing. Now, as she mentioned, the National Assembly will hold a special sitting on Monday to honor the late retired President Daniel Moi. This follows a move by the National Assembly Majority Leader Aden Duale, who requested the Speaker for the special seating. The Speaker, Justin Muturi, accepted and appointed Monday as the day. There will also be other transactions that will be conducted on the floor of the House on Monday, including one that is seeking to push the resumption date of the House. The Senate is also expected to have a sitting on that day for members to eulogize Moi.
With our neighbors, and this issue was, Mr. Speaker, discussed yesterday, and even
Staying with the president's safety and security is the sole responsibility of his security team. During the late former President Moi's tenure, his security detail was often accused of harassment. Our reporter Gabriel Kudaka caught up with his former escort commander, Samson Cherambos, at his home in Eldoret. Cherambos explains why they had to be a little bit harsh, even as he narrates his experience serving the late former president.
Mtukufu Rais retired Moi ametuacha, mimi nikiwa mmoja wa wale ambayo walifanya kazi pamoja, nilisikia kwamba dunia haina mwenyewe.
Words of a man whose sole duty was to protect the former president after news of his death.
Nilikuwa escort commander kuanzia early August 1996, nikachapa nilipomaliza miaka mitatu, nikapewa transfer kwenda GSU kama commandant wa GSU.
Cherambos explains that his job was not for the faint-hearted. The escort unit's assignment was clear: protect the president at all costs.
It was my responsibility as in charge wakati ya Moi kuhakikisha kwamba security ya Moi was up to date. Hungeweza kucheza kukaribia Moi. Hakuna wakati Moi aliendesha gari peke yake outside nikiwa escort commander kutembea town au wapi. Yale yalitokea wakati ya Nakuru, yule mwimbaji kwenda kuketi. Nilikuja nikaulizwa na nikasema ya kwamba it was a breach of security.
And when the team was excessive, the former president was quick to disapprove.
Kuna wakati mzee aliniambia, Cherambos, nimekasirika. Na alivyoniambia nimekasirika, nilipata stress ya kutosha. Na kukasirika kwake nilijua kwa sababu watu yangu tulipoenda mahali walifanya makosa kusukuma watu sana wakati ya campaign.
Despite the seriousness of the assignment, Cherambos notes that there were light moments too.
Alikuja Eldoret hapa, state lodge here. Then in the evening during the supper, he said, I want to go and have a cup of tea at the escort commander's place. By that time, I had not even finished my house. But he came.
He remembers the late former president as very time conscious.
Tulienda Uganda, kulikuwa kuna meeting, and Clinton was also in that meeting. Tukaruhusiwa, tukamaliza. President yetu akasema mimi naenda Kenya. Tulipofika kiwanja ndege, tukakuta ndege yetu imekuwa parked somewhere. Na ya President ya America iko tayari. Tukaambiwa tungoje. Lakini sisi tulimwambia our president is our president and we cannot wait for another president. Allow us tuende nyumbani. Commander, that's why nilikaa mbali.
Cherambos had to draw a thin line between his personal and professional life while handling the president.
Unajua ukiwa escort commander si kwamba mnaongea na Moi kila siku. You can even take 2 days. Unamwona tu pale lakini unaendelea na kazi yako. Asubuhi tu one thing, asubuhi lazima useme jambo. Kuna wakati ya kujibu na kuongea, lakini ku socialize ilikuwa kasi uwezo ku socialize na president.
Gabriel Kudaka, NTV.
Well, he's not the only one who remembers the late President fondly. The Pokot Council of Elders chairperson, John Mwok, remembers the late President Moi as one who brought peace to the border of West Pokot County between 1984 and 1997. He was appointed as paramount chief by the late president in 1999 to spearhead peace talks in the region.
As the country continues to mourn the former President Daniel Moi, Mzee John Mwok, who is the chairperson of the Pokot Council of Elders, remembers when Moi appointed him as the paramount chief to head peace talks in the region.
Alisema sasa mimi nimechagua wewe kwa kiongozi, yani paramount chief, ili uende ufanye amani katika West Pokot kwenda weka. Basi mimi nikashika ya Moi, mimi nikaja kufanya amani.
He praises the former president for eradicating bandits and illegal guns in the region in an operation by the name Nyundo in 1984.
Watu wa Pokot wale walipata silaha kutoka kwa Idi Amin kutoka sehemu ya North. Hao walimiliki hiyo silaha kinyume ya sheria, alafu akafanyia walivu. Serikali hawezi kuvumilia mambo kama haya hata kama ni nani. Basi akaleta operation, watu wakachapwa sawasawa kwa sababu wakanyang'anywa silaha na wengine wakafungwa, basi amani ikaingia.
He points out that during Moi's era there was discipline and obedience compared to the present government.
Na ministers zake wote walikuwa na watu wa discipline, kila mmoja alikuwa anafanya kazi vile amepewa. Lakini kwa sasa naona mambo si kama vile wako tu, lakini hawafanyi kama vile walikuwa wanafanya wakati huo.
The funeral service for the retired president will be held at the Nyayo Stadium on Tuesday. He will later be laid to rest at his Kabarak home on Wednesday 12th next week.
All right, we cross over to matters health as far as the coronavirus is concerned. And health officials this morning, including the outgoing Health CS, Cecily Karugi, held a press conference, and they have ruled out the option of evacuating Kenyan students stuck in the heart of the coronavirus epicenter in China, stating that it is for their own good to stay in China than to come home. Speaking at that particular press conference, the PS Foreign Affairs Ambassador Kamau Macharia said the government is in talks with the Chinese government and has been assured of the safety and welfare of Kenyans in Wuhan. Meanwhile, the outgoing Health CS, Cecily Karugi, says the country is expecting reagents for testing the virus in the country tomorrow.
We are looking at all options that are available to us, recognizing that maybe the best place for our students under the current circumstances might be exactly where they are, in China. Should that change, the government of Kenya will respond effectively in the best interest of the students.
The government of Kenya advises Kenyans in China not on essential business travel to consider returning home. The government continues to maintain a heightened surveillance system at all points of entry, health facilities, and communities across the country. So far, the ministry, through its surveillance system, has been able to pick 7 suspected cases who have all tested negative for the coronavirus.
Attorney General Kihara Kariuki has filed a notice of appeal challenging the High Court decision declaring President Uhuru Kenyatta's failure to swear in 41 new judges as unconstitutional. In the appeal notice, the Office of the AG states its dissatisfaction with yesterday's judgment, saying the reasoning adopted by the High Court serves to limit the President's ability to discharge his sworn duty of protecting the values and principles enshrined in the Constitution. The AG further disagrees with the High Court's ruling, terming it as an overly legalistic interpretation of the Constitution. The process of appeal has since been instituted. The High Court had compelled President Kenyatta to appoint the 41 judges through a Gazette notice, stating that he is not mandated to make any changes or review the appointments. President Uhuru Kenyatta has assured that a new bilateral trade deal between Kenya and the U.S. will not undermine the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Attending a U.S.-Kenya trade forum in the U.S. capital, the president encouraged investors that the proposed trade deal would deepen the country's economic and commercial ties.
In a meeting that was attended by 350 business leaders, the president said that the arrangement is to have a predictable long-term business environment for the investors with predictable terms of engagement.
Negotiations between...
As the trade between Kenya and US stands at about $1 billion a year, the president encouraged investors to consider other sectors of economy such as agriculture, manufacturing, hospitality, and tourism.
Kenya feels ready for this arrangement, and we don't want to be held back. We see clearly the opportunity that exists, and we want to be trailblazers and set a path for others on the continent to follow, going a long way to simplifying the ability of US companies to make Nairobi a hub, not just for their business on the continent, but also a hub for their businesses in the East.
And as the American business community is keenly following what the president is doing in terms of improving the trade ties, the president assured of political stability in Kenya as it does impact the business environment.
That was the primary reason I reached out to my competitor, the former Prime Minister, Raila Odinga. And I told him, none of us wants to lead a country of paupers. We all want to lead a country that is stable, that is strong, and that is prosperous. Our commitment to the fight against corruption is unstoppable. We will continue and ensure that we uproot this vice from our system completely.
President Kenyatta was accompanied by Secretaries for Transport, East African Affairs, Trade Designate, among other senior officials.
One is building it up.
All right, we take a break, but when we come back, we tell you about 4 men who died out of fear for the police.
Inakwambia bibi kuna mdenge fulani bibi hapo na nywele refu yani. Kuna ngoko fulani bibi amemechali yake hadi Sasa jamaa ndo nena kutupinya mtu mbao. Mimi nimemjenga dhao. Gari ilikuwa salaza. Akaniambia nimjenge 17 na batina 30 yangu.
The way this position is tiring. Nimechoka.
ni shosho fulani hapa hivi.
Ati shosho.
Call for long at 1 shilling 50 cents to all networks.
Katelo.
Dial star 544 hash to subscribe. Telkom, moving with you.
Over the years, Camry has grown to become a world-renowned medical research institution. Join us on the 10th February 2020 as we celebrate our 40th anniversary. The hallmark of the anniversary celebrations is the 10th Camry Annual Scientific and Health Conference taking place between 11th and 13th February 2020 at the Safari Park Hotel, Nairobi. Camry will also have a free specialized medical camp in various counties across the country. Visit our website for more information.
Molfix breathable surface developed with Airsoft technology is very soft and provides the best Molfix skincare.
I found the best diaper for my baby's sensitive skin.
All babies deserve a high-quality diaper. You should also try Molfix.
This week on The Trend, Africa's #1.
Welcome to the Okash Experience.
Welcome back. You're watching NTV at 1. 4 people have drowned in River Nzoia as they were trying to run away from the police. The 4 were believed to have been part of a team involved in the trade of illicit liquor in Soweto slum in Trans Nzoia County.
The footprints along the bank of River Nzoia in Moyes Bridge area in Trans Nzoia County indicates the haste at which the 4 victims were moving at, so as to get away from the hand of the law. Unfortunately for them, the hand of death was just a stretch away.
Hao askari hawakuchukua hatua yoyote. Walisimama hapo wakiona watu wana drown. Wakataka kushika mama mmoja tu, mama aliponea bahati. Alikuwa amejishikilia tu kwa miti. Mama anaomba msamaha, mnisamee. Askari wakafeel guilty. Wakamwambia hapana, hatutakufanya nini, hatutakushika. Mama akatoka, lakini askari wameona watu 4 wakidrown.
It is reported that the 4 were part of a team involved in the trade and consumption of illicit brew in the area. They took to their heels when police officers from Moy Bridge Police Station began an operation.
Na tumepata ukweli wenzetu wako ndani ya maji. Sasa sisi tungeomba kama serikali iweze kutusaidia, manake sisi tumechoka na police station ya Moyes Bridge. Na tumezoea kudhulumiwa sana.
Residents are now threatening to hold demonstrations next week if no action is taken by authorities to help recover the bodies. Area Police Boss Fanuel Nasio said investigations into the matter have commenced. Helen Aura, NTV.
Over 100,000 households are already benefiting from government's regular cash transfer program in Wajir, Mandera, Turkana and Marsabit counties. Rudin Elmoge reports on the gains of the Hunger Safety Net program.
In Wajir County, there are 19,201 households which the national government has categorized as under the regular category. They receive 5,400 shillings once every 2 months. Another 73,603 households are grouped as emergency, receiving 2,700 shillings during their circumstance. Shukri Mohammed Abdi, a mother of 12 children, is among the beneficiaries of the government drought mitigation program.
Kabla tujaandikwa mara tunashinda hivyo, mara tunachukua deni, mara tunaenda kuomba watu. Alhamdulillah, lakini sasa imetusaidia.
The story of the Qawd Isu is similar. He has used his accumulated cash to set up a small business where he trade in sale of gum arabica.
Hii soko tunapelekanga Nairobi. Baada ya kupeleka Nairobi ina supply paka inaenda paka China. Hiyo pesa sasa 280,000 imezaa almost 900,000 faida. Tunasema shukrani kwa NDMA sasa.
And for Wajir County, if you look at the regular beneficiaries, from 2013 up to today, we dispersed more than 3.5 billion under the regular beneficiaries. And then if you come to the emergency groups, it's actually more than 1.4 billion.
The final beneficiaries listing has taken place at Lakabokol. Here, officers from the National Drought Management Authority are undertaking house-to-house campaign.
And we capture everything, including the GPS coordinates, for purposes of transparency and accountability.
The government plans to expand the cash transfer program to the counties of Garissa, Isiolo, Turkana, and Samburu. Nurtin Almoge, NTV, Wajir County.
Time now for sports with Sean Cardovillas. Sean, what do you have for us?
Thank you very much, Olive. A very good afternoon to you. Now, Kenya Commercial Bank take on Kariobangi Sharks in an early Kenyan Premier League clash this afternoon at 3 p.m. and that's taking place at the Kenyatta Stadium in Machakos. KCB will be seeking to extend their win streak to 5 in a row, which would propel them second on the log with 41 points, 3 behind league leaders Gor Mahia. The Slum Boys, on the other hand, will be confident going into the match after thrashing Kisumu All-Stars 8-1 on Sunday. However, they will have to do without the 2018 KPL Most Valuable Player Eric Kapaito, who has a knee injury. Sharks, by the way, are 12th on the log with 16 points from 19 matches. Now, huge shocks in Spain. Barcelona's hopes of reaching a 7th successive Copa del Rey final ended at the quarter-final stage with a 1-0 defeat by Athletic Bilbao. The tight contest was decided in the 3rd minute of stoppage time when Spanish forward Inaki Williams headed past Mark
NTV at 1. But as always, we stay on top of the big stories and we'll bring you up to speed as and when developments happen. My name is Olive Burrows. Thank you for keeping me company.